All right, guys, welcome back to Gen Z Bible Stories. Today, we are going to give you a quick summary of the life of Joseph. Part 1. All right, so you can find the life of Joseph starting in Genesis chapter 34. And basically, Joseph was Jacob's son, basically the golden child. He had a very colorful robe, and he was always dripped out by his dad, and his other brothers were really jealous. So one day, Joseph went up to his brothers, and he's like, yo, I had a dream, and basically I'm gonna rule over all of you guys one day, and tough luck. It is what it is. So one day his brothers threw him in a pit as kind of a punishment for being so jelly, and they were like, well, we shouldn't just keep him in this pit. We should sell him to these slave traders that are walking by. They flipped a deal and they sold their brother into slavery. So Joseph went from having it all to being sold into slavery and going to Egypt, called out a major downgrade. But what Joseph didn't realize at the time, that this downgrade would be the greatest thing that God ever did for him. When Joseph got to Egypt, he was a slave for a guy named Potiphar. And Potiphar quickly realized Joseph was like, he was that guy. And so Potiphar was like, you're gonna be my servant, my slave, but you're gonna have control over my house. And Potiphar's wife kind of was down bad and had the hots for Joseph. So she's like, hey, basically, I want you to do me. And Joseph is like, no, like you're my master's wife. We're not gonna do that. You're my master's wife. We're not gonna do that. She comes up to him a few times again. She's like, oh, I want you to do me, Joseph. You're so hot. And he's like, no, you're literally my master's wife. I'm not gonna do that. One time, Potiphar is away, and she comes up to Joseph and she's like, oh, Joseph, you're so bad. I want you to do me. And he's like, no. And so he runs away, but he drops his robe. And so she grabs it and she goes up to Potiphar and she's like, Joseph just tried to bang me, and totally not cool. Like, I don't know why he would do that, like, to his master's wife. Like, that's crazy. So Potiphar was like, oh, hell nah. He took Joseph and threw him in prison. He gets to the prison and the guards in the prison or whatever realize, like, oh, he's that guy. So he kind of becomes a leader in the prison. He's still a prisoner though, but he kind of becomes that dude. While he's in prison, there's these two guys that come up to him and they end up being servants for the Pharaoh of Egypt. And they're like, yo, no one can interpret these dreams, and we really need help. Joseph's like, I can't interpret dreams, but God can through me, kind of. And so he tells them what their dreams mean. He's like, if you guys ever get out and go back to Pharaoh, just like let him know, like, I'm a G and help me get out. And so they forget about him. They get out. One day, Pharaoh goes up to them and he's like, yo, I just had this dream. I really need to know what it means. What does it mean?